I was executed on October 26, 1855. A lot of people came to see me get hanged that day. I'm over in the Pioneer Cemetery. From up on that scaffolding that they built for me, you could see parasols and picnic baskets, families laughing and playing together. I got in trouble because of a woman and a young one at that. To this day, I don't know how it came to be that I killed her, but I did. I came out to California from Kentucky back in '49 to look for gold. Things weren't going so well for me back there in Kentucky, and like everybody else, I had gold fever. But like most everybody else, I didn't have much luck looking for gold. Then in 1853, I met the Newman family. When I first met Miss Susan, she was 16 years old. And I could tell right then that she was someone special. And I could tell she took an interest in me as well, but I took no action on those feelings. Then the Newman family bought a nearby boarding house in Ringgold. That's about 11 miles south of here, you know. And Mr. Newman asked if I would take a room there. Well, I couldn't afford that, but knowing I was well read, he asked if I would teach his children in the evenings after my days of mining, so I agreed. And that's when I began teaching Miss Susan her penmanship. And when you teach penmanship, you have to get real close to the person, you know, and guide their hands so they can form their letters. And before long, I was holding her hand more than guiding it. I felt as though I had known her before as someone very beloved to me. Well, one thing led to another, and before you knew it, we was a romance. And we soon made written commitments of our spiritual marriage, and we professed our love. Don't you look at me like that. I know what you're thinking, but by then she was of a marriageable age. Problem was, I was already married. See, when I left Kentucky, I left a wife and 5 children back there. And, well, with Miss Susan being so young and all, that only made matters worse. I told her that my wife had divorced me and remarried. Maybe that wasn't the full truth of it, and I had no proof to show her. Well, one day she told me it weren't right for us to be carrying on like that. And I told her I knew it wasn't right, but I couldn't help myself. I knew that our souls had been brought together for eternal marriage, and nothing could part us. And if we could not be married in this life, we could make sure that we would be together in the next. Well, she slammed the door in my face and said, "Don't you come around no more." I also knew that her pa had a more suitable young man in mind, a courting Susan. And that angered me to no end. But I tried to stay away from her. I did. But I just couldn't stop thinking about her. I was in love with her, and I knew she was in love with me. And I knew in my heart, if I could see her one more time and hold her and explain my love to her, well, everything would be all right. She would see that ours would be a marriage for all eternity. So on August 10th, 1855, I went back out there to that car. Her pa was out in the front yard, and I asked to see her, but he refused. But I told him I just wanted to talk to her, so he agreed. Pretty soon, she come out in that front yard, and I tried to talk to her. I did. But she started yelling at me, saying the most terrible things. So I grabbed her and I held her. I told her I loved her. Well, she hit me and pushed me away. And then she laughed at me. She sneered at me. Well, I knew I shouldn't have brought it, but I had my gun. There it was in my hand. And I pulled her to me and I shot her. Bam! The wound was not fatal. And that gun comes up again. And she quickly hit my hand away and fired off away from us. She started stumbling back towards that house. And I followed her as she ran. And I called to her to come back to me, but she just kept it going. And that gun comes up again. And I says to myself, Jeremiah, you will have this woman for all eternity. And I shot her in the back of the head. They say all told, I shot her twice. But all I remember is seeing her lying on the floor of that house of bleeding. I know I promised I would join her in the hereafter, but I got scared and I ran off. But it weren't no use running because I'd done what I'd done. So the next day I went back out to Ringgold. They caught me where I was hiding in the bushes and they arrested me. Well, they was going to lynch me right on the spot. But Sheriff Dave Buell intervened. He took me right over to that jail here in Coloma. Right over yonder. He told me it took her 5 days to die. Well, I confess, I was tried and found guilty. During that time, I composed my life story. And then I wrote letters to those whom I had wronged, including my wife back in Kentucky. And then later in October, I found myself standing on that new scaffolding that they built for me and Mickey Free, right over in the Pioneer Cemetery. They say 8,000 to 10,000 people came to see us get on that day. And old Mickey, he was an evil, remorseless murderer and a stagecoach robber. His time come first, and he asked if he could tie the knot for his own use. And then he danced a jig right on that trap door before they dropped him down. Weren't much of a jig, though, because I think old Mickey's nerve gave out on him. Me, when my time came, I sang a song that I wrote while sitting there in that jail to the tune of the Indian Hunter. We were popular at that point. And then, my very final words to Miss Susan are all here. I told her I would soon be with her. I had asked if I could be buried next to her out on that property in Ringgold, but I guess they thought it wasn't fit. So they buried me in an unmarked grave alongside Mickey Creek, right outside of that Pioneer Cemetery, just a few yards